Let's turn our attention, though, to the market picture. It certainly has been a topsy-turvy one across the board. Markets have certainly looked towards things like Pick n Pay's earnings picture, which has been quite interesting. But we are joined in by Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers as we get perhaps some insight into where exactly this market picture is looking. A bit of a drop then today, Makwe, particularly out in Asia. That picture starting off quite negative. We're not perhaps going to get a stimulus effort out of the United States before that November 3rd election. China didn't necessarily shoot the lights out with its growth picture yesterday, so perhaps the market's being a little bit more tentative today. Is that the case?
Definitely it is, and good day to you. And we've seen that for the past week or so, the markets have been driven by hopes, having some hopes that definitely will get some stimulus. Then at some point, the hopes had were fading away. That is not going to happen. But for the fact that today is the deadline, as you remember, that Nancy Pelosi said that they have to get it today so that they'll be able to get the stimulus on or before the 3rd of November elections. And markets are still a bit hopeful that something will come out. It's a question of exactly how much will that come out. But even if they manage to negotiate, because as they indicated, that they've narrowed their differences, even though there's still some thorny issue. The question is, will the other Democrats be able to support that? But I think markets are spoiled, because here the question is, whether we like it or not, we will definitely get the extension of the stimulus. The question is how much and when, but it definitely will happen, because we know that the U.S. consumers, we know that the U.S. businesses, just like most businesses and consumers around the world, they still need that boost coming from their governments.
Yeah, it gets very interesting because the market, as you said, gets a little bit greedy for this kind of good news and wants it, sooner rather than later. On the other front, on the local index, perhaps if we can go there, you certainly have, the likes of Pick n Pay coming out with a set of earnings. Now, profits there overall go up around 1% or so. It's that revenue picture. But locally, they do, I think it's around a 3.4% uptick. We'll get to chat to the CEO, hopefully, in a moment or two. But it's that local profits go up. And this is despite liquor and tobacco sales falling off nearly 48%. So one can say that they didn't do too bad, considering the circumstances in this interim period.
Definitely. Remember, Pick n Pay, just like your ShopRite and Spar, they were classified as essential service providers, meaning grocery was allowed to be sold. And hence you see their core retail sales up almost 8.7%. And as you said, that's taking out your tobacco and your liquor. But bear in mind that those two, tobacco and liquor, those have very high margins. So if you take them out, definitely they have a negative impact on your revenue. And hence the guys ultimately had almost a 2.8 billion sales hit because of COVID-19. Then it's not surprising to see them reducing their interim dividend by almost 56%. As we've seen, the profits were down by almost 59%.
Yeah, our next story really talks about the consent agreement, for exclusive leases. Last week we had one out of ShopRite then that they couldn't get into those exclusive leases anymore. Now Pick n Pay is going to suffer the same thing. The Competition Commission getting involved in this one as well. How big an impact is that for local retailers and the way their businesses are used to being run?
Definitely, it will have a very big negative impact on the big guys, but that's a good thing to do because you are leveling out the play field, because you'll be able to have some emerging and up-and-coming retailers being able to compete. Yes, they won't get to the kind of margins or the kind of profitability that we're seeing from the big boys, but I think it's more important going forward that the level field has to be leveled, because it has just been unfair. And thanks God, the guys are great. And I saw that that's starting with the rural areas, that with immediate effect, then other areas, they'll give them some time. And hence, maybe it's not surprising to see the likes of Pick n Pay also now trying to tap into other markets by buying the company called Bottles. That's more of an online service provider, because they saw online buying doubling as well. And this is the company that has registered users of almost 350,000. So I'm trying to get to the point that the old guys have to get into new ways of doing things, as we've seen with the exclusivity when it comes to the leases.
Very, very critical. Very finally, Steinhoff fined by the Johannesburg Stock Exchange then 13.5 billion, including 7.5 billion for incorrectly, disseminating information effectively. Not unexpected, but is there anything left of Steinhoff?
Yeah, their assets are still solid going forward. The question is, you check their debt, you check their claims that the guys have against them. That's not looking okay for them. But that fine is just too little given how much the poor people have lost. There's pensioners who invested their money into Steinhoff, which dropped almost 90%, and all because, not because people made a bad investment decision, but because people were misled, bearing in mind that we make investment decisions based on those financials. So if you give us incorrect ones, then definitely you've misled us. So I think that 13.5 million is just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, but the case isn't necessarily over, right? I mean, the JSE also making note that, yes, with regards to the company itself, they may be done, but with regards to the people that are responsible for the accounting scandal itself, they're still meant to, bear the fruits of their discretion at this point, and that could still be a big fine itself, wouldn't it?
Definitely, and that's the most important part, because we cannot continue blaming the company and let the individuals who made those decisions just to get away with murder, they also have to come in account. And as we are seeing with people who misled people or who managed to chow the public funds, they are also accounting. The same thing has to happen when it comes to the private sector. And I think that will give people confidence, and especially in our law enforcing agencies, that we are tackling both public and private.
Yeah. Makwe, thank you so much for the time this Tuesday afternoon. Appreciate it. Makwe Masilela there from Makwe Fund Managers joining us to help unpack that market picture a little bit there as well. Now,